yeah, thank you.
Call the meeting to order.
I'm trying to get that guy's attention. Thanks.
You're a new secretary?
Yeah, that's right.
I'm Sarah, you're
Bridget.
Bridget. This is yours. I can email it to you if I get an email address for you, so you can put it with the minutes.
Okay, I'll give it to you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, make it nice and loud. Okay, I'll call the meeting to order at 6:05. And the first thing I'd like to do is make an announcement that the town has hired a new minute recorder for the ZBA. Her name is Bridget Gauthier, and she will be working remote. So please speak into the microphone, and one at a time, please. If there is a question that is asked, and I'm speaking to the board members, please wait for an answer before another question is asked again. Thank you. And, and if I forget to state your name when I recognize you until she gets familiar with our voices, then just say who you are. She's here tonight, and I don't know, one other 6:05. And in attendance, we have myself, Suzanne Ryan, Chair, Sarah Silk, Clerk, Jody Persons, Kate McMahon, which are voting members. And Audrey Klein is Vice Chair, and she's excused. Alternates, we have Chuck Sumner and Sabette Stroman, and Sabette is excused. Chuck, I'll be appointing you in the place of Audrey. Okay. You are now an official voting member. So we have a full board of 5. The purpose of tonight's hearing is, it is a continuation of October 23, 2024 public hearing of 302 Haynes Hill Road, tax map 47-5 for a variance under chapter 175, 124A2, zoning ordinance side yard setback, 25 feet for an approximate 40 by 50 barn. The applicant at our October 23rd meeting has read into the record the 5 criteria for which they feel they qualify for a variance and why it should be approved. The board continued the hearing until tonight with a list that Sarah, our clerk, drafted up and gave to the applicant on the 23rd, and questions that would need to be satisfied amongst any others that may come up tonight. Is there any board member that feels they need to be recused? Seeing none, the voting members are Chuck, myself, Sarah, Kate, and Jody. Applicant, it's your turn to go to the microphone, and I think I'd like to start by addressing the list that we gave you at the last meeting. Oh, sorry, we did do a site visit. Thank you, Sarah. Sarah Silk is our clerk. She took notes of the site visit we did tonight at 4:30.
ZBA site visit 11/18/24, tax map number 45-7, 302 Haynes Hill Road, Wolfeboro, New Hampshire. Variance chapter 175-124A and 2, 25-foot setback. Members present, Suzanne Ryan, Chair, Sarah M. Silk, Clerk, alternate present, Chuck Sumner, Steve Toomey, present for the applicant, excused, Jody Person, Sabette Stroman, Kate McMahon, Audrey Klein. There were stakes indicating the 44-foot back corner and pointed out by Steve Toomey. Suzanne Ryan asked about the wetlands, with Steve responding, there will be a letter from Peter Kupadock at the meeting. Haynes Hill is considered the frontage of the lot. The right-of-way at the edge of the runway is the side of the lot. probably intended to keep travelers off the runway and for maintenance. The new barn addition will have a similar roof line. The existing lower roof line will be removed. There was discussion about the 12-foot boundary and the 12-foot on the left side of the existing barn. Respectfully submitted, Sarah M. Silk, CBA Clerk.
Thank you, Sarah. Do you have, did you happen to bring your lists that you typed up?
No, because I had 2 wet envelopes and I grabbed the wrong one.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I had it by the computer when I typed this up.
Did you send one to Terry? Anywhere along the line? Because if you did, it will be in the folder.
I don't know. I thought I sent a list to you. I emailed it, I thought. There were 8 points on the list. It wasn't included in the minutes?
The minutes aren't done.
We don't have any notes for the minutes?
I have nothing.
Oh, okay.
Let me check the folder a minute, please.
Good.
I've only got one copy. It's better than none. You sent it to me and I sent it to Terry.
Yes.
So since you did it, why don't you read those off?
Okay.
And then we'll address them one at a time.
There were 8 points. One was scale drawing. Measurements, there was a 110-foot bond length. 40 or 42 feet was in question for a dimension. Tax map, where is the wetland setback? Measurements to all setbacks, right-of-way deeds, and staked. We did see 2 stakes today.
Okay.
Well, good evening. I'm Steve Toomey, the builder. And
Tom Shaughnessy, the owner.
so
They can only hear you at the microphone.
I'm going to give you Peter Cooperdock, the wetland scientist that did the wetland delineation. This is a letter stating that we're outside of that buffer.
Thank you.
We can all hear that.
Oh.
Thank you.
You saw the stakes in place, so that was covered. I think there was just confusion on the 42 feet. That dimension is actually the width of the barn doors. I had more copies of this, but I only brought 2. And then we got a hold of the engineer that did the original as-built foundation plan, and I had him add in the dimensions.
Thank you.
So we don't forget this is a file copy.
I'm just checking off what we've got now.
This would be the scale drawing.
Those are all the dimensions showing the setbacks, and the as-built is the red existing building, and then the green lines are proposed addition. And then you asked about the deed, the access to the runway, and this is the deed, and that's the reference highlighted and outlined for the access to the runway.
Thank you.
So I believe that addresses all 8 points.
Okay, we have a scale drawing here. Can I see that drawing?
Oh,
Thank you.
I'm just passing stuff around because we don't have copies of everything for 5 people, so we're kind of sharing the ones we're missing, but that's fine. Just, we're going a little slower.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You want to see this? Did you see this?
I saw that, yep.
Okay. And it was staked when we saw it. So this deed, is this a deed? What is this? Warranty deed. Is this for access to the runway, or is it access to the parcel?
That's access to the runway.
The runway?
At the last meeting, you had asked about proof that we had access to the runway.
7th or 8th item.
So access to the lot is actually from Haynes Hill Road, up the road that you came up to. That's the actual,
So is the deed for the right-of-way to the barn?
the access is on his actual
I don't need
property.
access to the barn. The access to the barn is already pre-existing. Audrey had asked what gave me access to the runway. And then that's the document that gives me access to use the airport.
I don't have the minutes. Is there some sort of document that gives a right-of-way access to your barn and to the next person and the next person that's along the runway?
Well,
That's part
Or
of
is
that's part
it
of my
one,
par-
or is
that's
it
part of
one and the same?
That's part of my parcel. That's part of the 5.5 acres. The pre-existing barn is already part of my pre-existing information.
So in other words, when we drove up on your property.
That is correct.
That is the
the
right.
road comes
That's
all the
his
way from
property.
Haynes Hill all
That's
the
his
way up to
property.
the barn.
The right-of-way is to the runway.
Oh, okay,
His property gives him access to the barn.
okay.
And Audrey had asked what
Okay.
gave me access to use the
All right.
airport, and that's part of my deed.
Okay. All right, so, scale drawing. I guess we could consider that a scale drawing. That's a scale drawing.
Yep.
So we got that. And then the clarification on the exact measurement of the, well, I always look for the footprint, but,
Well, the footprint
Footprint's right
of the
here.
actual building,
The new building will be 42 feet by 44 feet.
that's why I got a hold of the engineer for clarification, because when he did the actual footprint for the existing hangar, barn with that addition, at that point, the foundation was in, the walls were erected, but no roof. So the dimensions he took were off the foundation. The corrected ones now show the overhangs for the roof. So that's the actual footprint with overhangs, the whole thing. So those are actual dimensions.
52 by 44.
that's okay, let's see.
The confusion over 40 or 42 feet was that that's the width of the door, not the width of the building.
Okay.
So that's where that
Okay.
note
I only
came
have
from.
one copy of this. This was the original showing the as-built, and the notes here show that at this point, there was no roof, it was just walls. This addition hadn't been framed up or roofed yet, so the actual setbacks were to the foundation. So the corrected one now has the dimensions with the roof overhangs for the outermost limit.
Is that the shed? Is this the shed area you're talking about? The shed area?
Well, the whole thing, when he did,
Oh, okay, yeah, I understand you now, yeah.
this was the original.
Yeah,
Because there was no roof.
no overhang, yeah,
See, that
okay.
was misunderstood. That's the width of the door.
Madam Chair, can I ask? Madam Chair, may I ask Mr. Toomey a question?
I'm trying to, just 1 second. I'm trying to correct something on a checklist.
You had pointed out that the 40 or 42 feet, the question, that was not the dimension of the building, that's the dimension of the door.
Yeah, the
That's where the confusion came from. So we're all set on that point. Thank you.
Okay, now Sarah, what did you want?
I wanted to ask Mr. Toomey a question.
I don't test well, so make it an easy one.
Okay, this drawing here shows basically the footprint. Will there be a roof over the portion that's labeled slab in the middle?
Yes.
Well, the building is already in between those two, and what I did was I took the same dimensions that the engineer had, just to simplify it, so there wouldn't be confusion. So those are the actual outer limits of the roof edges. So
Okay.
it looks like the foundation, but it was just my program that drew what the engineer had.
Yeah, he clarified that there would be a new roof built over that center section that's called out as a shed.
Okay. Use
Kate?
your microphone.
I know, I'm asking her
Kate?
first. Yes.
You still need to use a microphone to ask her a question.
I have a couple of questions I wanted to ask. First of all, Penn Air Road, where does that intersect with Haynes Hill?
Well, Penn Air comes off at 28.
Yes, I know where it comes.
Yep, so it accesses the airport, but the end of it is Paul Zanis. He's the last house on Penn Air. Then it turns into Haynes Hill where
Well,
Tom's from.
It actually terminates, so it doesn't turn into it.
You gotta use the microphone.
Haynes Hill, Penn Air Road terminates.
Okay.
It terminates at the very tip of the pre-existing hangar.
Okay. All right. A couple other quick questions. I noticed in the application throughout, you've put the word barn in quotes. Is the barn like a garage for a plane, or?
It's a barn storage building.
Okay.
There
Barn,
was a-
it's a
there was a-
barn what?
It's barn storage building.
All the pre-existing hangars that are up there had to be called barns at one point, but there's an existing letter that the attorney for the town finally said that the barns could be called hangars and they could call that a runway. I do not have that letter. Walt Fawcett said that letter exists, and there's been a letter from the legal department of Wolfeboro stating that they were hangars. We initially submitted it as a hangar. They came back and told us there's only barns up there, so they asked us to just put the word barn in there.
Okay.
It's called barn hangers. They're
To
using both the
But
words.
they weren't aware of that this letter existed, that eventually.
Do you have that information?
I don't have that letter. I was told it exists. Walt Fawcett has it.
Do you know who the attorney was at the time that they asked the question of?
No, I do not.
It was a planning attorney, I would assume.
I'm not aware, but he said that the verbiage, because all of his barns, which were hangars from the 70s,
Okay.
are called barns. They're not called hangars. And then there was finally they could call it an airport rather than a field, and then the barns could now be called hangars.
I've got another question I just want to ask about that. I think I saw in some of the handouts that you gave that this is a flying community. Okay.
Correct.
And
It's an airport.
does it have, what are the boundaries of that? I see there's a farm diagonally across the street. Is that part of the flying community too?
No, nothing. Across the street, that's a 300-acre parcel that has nothing to do with the airport.
Okay. So what are the boundaries of this flying community?
I'm not sure.
Whatever Walt Fawcett and WSK owns, it's about a 4,000-foot runway, and you were at the base of the runway.
Okay, okay. Can I see the deer?
But it goes up about 4,000 feet. But it basically is it's 10 feet below, 10 to 20 feet below the hedges line that you witnessed. That's the end of Walt Fawcett's property.
Okay.
The existing road that's below there has nothing to do with the airport.
Okay, all right, okay.
And because of the terrain, it will never have access to the airport.
Okay.
Walt has strict regulations, and I believe there's only 6 properties that have access to the runway, deeded access.
Okay.
Jody?
I was wondering, I didn't have time, I couldn't make it at 4:30 today, but I popped out there a little earlier. I hope you don't mind, I just drove out quick. Can you show me on here where the tree, there was a tree with orange paint on it? Is that this corner of this building right here? Or is it?
It's off here.
Yeah,
It was
okay.
a reference.
Yep, it's on this corner then,
Yep,
right in there?
Exactly.
Okay. And I guess my next question is, I'm reading about the setbacks on the wetlands from this letter here. It's saying 30 foot and 75 foot. Is that on, I mean,
There's another,
I'm just,
the wetland.
is over here, yep.
Yes, yeah, it comes down like this and then.
There's a stream there or something? Did I read something about a
It's just
stream or no?
poorly drained.
Poorly drained.
Yeah.
So that's 75 feet from this boundary line or the building?
Exactly.
Which one?
Oh, from the property line.
From the property line, okay.
Jody's using this.
I'm just trying to get a little bit of idea.
Jody, would you do me a favor and turn this around and show me what you were pointing at?
The
the
where the
question-
stake was,
Yeah, what,
the tree with the paint and the stake is right on that corner of this building right here. Right there.
okay,
And then he's saying from this boundary line is where I'm reading on here, 30-foot buffer zone setback and a 75-foot setback from poorly drained soil. It's from this, he's saying from this boundary, this blue boundary line here,
yeah,
back is 75 feet away, roughly. I'm just trying to piece this together a little bit because usually we have all this stuff, a week beforehand. I don't know if you couldn't get it to us in time, but it's usually so we can digest things a little better, that we get it sooner, but
Yeah.
I don't think there was any,
Well, I actually started this process in August.
Yeah.
And we got canceled the night before the hearing.
Yeah.
Because of the hangar
yeah,
wordage. Then they moved it out, but they didn't do the legal notice.
yep,
So it got pushed out again, and then they didn't have one.
yep.
So, and then we got too early.
I
So,
understand. We're just,
This is-
it's the time frame. I understand it.
This is hearing number 4.
Just trying to put it all together right now, that's all.
Yeah.
I don't,
okay. Oh, yeah, tax map.
A
That was
tax
on the
map?
list. Just so happens I have a copy, so I think I do. Wait a minute.
What's this one?
No,
Something else?
where this came from. In fact, look at this. Tax map. Although I had the tax map, I got a tax card. I wonder if we were referring to the tax card or a tax map.
I thought they were referring to a tax map because there was a question about the configuration of the lot. And there were questions about where was the front, where was the side in relation to Haynes Hill as the frontage. I guess there was a question about that during the process.
You have in that information that I handed in with the first hearing is the actual plot plan showing his septic design and the whole lot.
We had that? Remember that?
No.
Did anybody bring their paperwork from the first meeting?
Yes.
I did.
Yes.
What was
Do
it?
you have anything like that?
What was it again?
Tax map?
All I have is this, that's about the only thing I have that shows
Same thing.
his property going out like this. Is that right?
That's a section of it, and then it showed there was,
And then had that. But this is a drawing of the
yeah,
lot
this
coming out here.
continues-
Yep.
yeah, and then it
the-
continues
yep,
down to Haynes
Yep,
Hill.
yep.
But there should have been a whole one that showed,
I don't think we got one, unless I didn't get it or, but.
All right, well, we're fishing through our paperwork. I think you've answered pretty much what we've asked for. I'd ask, is there anyone in the public that wants to speak to this? No? Okay. I've had difficulty, I don't know about the other board members, but following along with sharing some paperwork. We've gotten some in duplicate and some we're sharing. And so it's like going back and forth. And I'm trying to read like the note on, what was the note I saw here? I was trying to read this note on this plan that the natural resource plan. Is the board comfortable trying to make a decision tonight, or would, I have a question that I'd like to go to the legal counsel with. This business about a bond versus a hangar. And evidently, according to testimony, there was some correspondence with, I would assume, the town planning attorney at that time. I know there's a letter from Hausman, who was the director of planning, and he had questions about it. I'm trying to remember what year I saw in that plan. And he said something about a follow-up letter, and I also couldn't find the follow-up letter. But it's my inclination to want to continue this to December 2nd.
I have another question or two.
I can't hear you.
I would like to ask another question.
Go ahead.
Okay. In terms of
This is Kate speaking.
Kate McMahon, yes. I'm just trying to figure out, I did go up to the site the first time, and I went about 3 in the afternoon. It was sunny, and got a look at it, and I saw the grassy runway. I know that this comes up not far from other farms on Haynes Hill Road, and I guess my question is, I'm not sure what kind of noise planes make, but if this becomes basically a hangar for a plane, what kind of noise will be generated there? Are there considerations like that before we look at criteria for a variance? Are there any noise issues?
well, the planes have existed up there since the 70s.
Right up to the place, the barn in question?
The end of the runway goes another 150, 200 feet down
Goes past there, yeah.
Okay,
So it actually goes beyond that.
okay. So we're not...
And it abuts to my property. I mean, it's part of my property. Haynes Hill that would be making noise. But they all take off another 150 to 200 feet past the proposed building addition.
But that would seem like a separate issue if people in the vicinity were complaining about noise about the planes.
I haven't heard any complaints. I'm just raising the issue because we'll be, one of the criteria for a variance is, what the potential impact is on neighboring property. So that's why I'm raising it.
Yeah, it's an addition to the barn, so it's no more impactful than,
It's a pre-existing use.
Okay, okay.
The barn that you saw, that quote, the barn that's there right now has 2 airplanes housed in it.
Okay,
And
okay.
the barn next to it has more airplanes, and all the way up the other end, the barns all have airplanes. in
Okay,
them.
all right.
so for just sake of argument and to keep things simple, where the original wordage was all those buildings were called barns, we changed that language to be a barn. So we're going for a barn, not a hangar.
Okay.
Just to simplify. There is a letter from legal that says they now recognize those, but we don't want to go down that rabbit hole. We're just calling it a barn for storage, and whatever he stores in there
Okay.
is what we're going for.
Sarah?
Yes, I don't have any problem with the barn and the airplanes or anything like that because it's a pre-existing use, but the question I would have is it possible for the planning department to give us all a complete copy of all of the information that we were presented with tonight? Some of us have, like you were saying earlier, we all have drawings, everybody has a site viewing, everybody has Peter Cooper docs, but then the other information, if we could get that reproduced for the members?
Absolutely.
So you want copies of everything that I gave you tonight? I mean, I didn't think you needed
No,
the
we'd have
The planning
the
office.
planning secretary reproduce what we have one of, should make 6 more of, so that we all have a full packet that we can look at in total,
Okay.
because we don't have a full packet.
This drawing,
We're sharing.
the deed information,
Okay.
that kind of stuff.
So that, and we'd have time to look at it.
Okay.
We're just kind of piecemealing it together. Jody?
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier, is we usually, at least get 4 days, 5 days to be able to look everything over. That's what and now we're getting all this stuff tonight. It's like, to look at it tonight and really, I mean, personally, to me, I understand exactly what's going on with this project. It's just and I don't have a problem with calling it a barn, but I just want to be able to, if I put my name on it as a chair, a person of the board, and we all agree on it, we have to record. It's got to be recorded, so I don't feel like we have exactly, we're pretty close. I think we're really close. It's just, I think to legally record it after, that's what I'm worried about. That's
So
all.
am I going to entertain a motion from you to continue this till December 2nd?
I hate to say that, but I think it might make the most sense. I don't know how anybody else
I'll make the
feels.
motion to continue this application for Mr. Shaughnessy until December 2nd.
I'll second that for discussion. I want to point out that it's unfortunate that right now we don't have a planner, and sometimes these kind of things can be worked out ahead. We only have 4 hours, 2 afternoons a week, so we're doing the best we can with our limited staff.
Yeah, I agree with Sarah that if this had been all put together in a packet for each member as a packet like this with everything, handed to Shauna, our part-time planner, she would have looked at it and given some direction as to completeness and enough information to go ahead and make a decision.
Well, I've sat with Sarah. Is she covering for Terry?
No, I'm Sarah.
Oh, all right. Who was
Who's
the
our
woman
temporary
covering
plan?
for Terry?
Shauna,
Shauna?
she's in the back office. I think her last name is Summers,
No, Saunders.
Saunders.
And then there was a temporary secretary out there, Leanne.
Okay, so just so you understand, when I went in initially and put this before Jason, and then he kicked it back and said, this has to go to the planning board because you're adding and we're going for that setback. And then I did the work with Terry initially to put that packet together. She did not tell me how many members there were or how many copies I needed to make. She didn't make that an issue. So the first hearing that I was ready for, I only had one to present. So if there were copies that needed to be done, she would have either made them through all of you or asked me to make copies. That never happened. So by the time we got here tonight, I just knew from the last meeting, there was about 5 or 6 people. So the biggest plan was the engineer's plan, which I felt was the most significant, and the wetlands letter, which you all have a copy of. So the significant pertinent information to decide that this could go, I felt you all had. The deed, I didn't feel everyone needed a deed copy to say he had access to the runway. But if you're saying you all want a copy of the deed to see that notation, you've all seen it. I don't know what else there is to decide.
But the only
You
thing,
have all the information right there.
typically we get copies of every relevant document ahead of time so we can study it and become comfortable with it. That's the only issue. All your information is here, and I am comfortable making a decision tonight. But if the board wants to study this a little bit further, that's
Well, I would just
So be
stress
it.
that this is our 4th hearing.
Right.
I've dotted the i's, crossed the t's, given you what you've asked for. Granted, I didn't make copy. Nobody ever said the next hearing bring a copy for each one of us. That was never mentioned until tonight. So it seems like that's the hang-up as far as getting a complete package. And what I'm saying, you've got all the information.
Well-
If you need to make a copy, the secretary can make a copy tomorrow and put the packets together. You're not going to decide tonight. When would you actually decide?
October 2nd, December 2nd.
So
December
it's-
2nd is our next meeting. And
Okay,
we have 90 days in total to make a decision.
But this
So we
was
don't
just-
have to make it tonight. But on October 23rd is when Sarah kindly kept the list and gave it to you. It is that information that primarily you're giving us tonight that it would have been best to have assembled it as a packet, given it to Terry as a packet, and say, this is what I need copied for the board. She would have made you all those copies. When did you come in and did you go in with your material to Terry?
No, nobody told me I had to go see Terry.
Well, that's where you funnel the stuff through them they give it to us.
Respectfully, at the last meeting, you told me what I needed to address for the questions.
Right.
That's what I did. You didn't tell me I had to give it back to Terry to have her funnel it to you. So I'm guilty as charged, but I didn't have the information. So now I'm standing here tonight with you asking for a packet and that I should have gone through Terry, and I didn't have that information.
Everything gets funneled through the office before it comes to us. Sarah?
Yeah, Mr. Toomey, apologies, but we are short-staffed, and the person that should have given you direction would be the town planner. And we have her in the office 2 afternoons. I know it's kind of frustrating, but we're doing the best we can, and our next meeting, because of holidays and voting, is only 2 weeks away.
Okay.
You don't have to wait a whole month.
Well, the question is, you asked us 8 items. Have we sufficed all 8 items so we don't come in and find out that there's one missing? Are you satisfied with the information that was provided this evening, that all 8 items have been addressed? And
Okay. We have a scale drawing. That was number 1. The measurements are there, the bond, it was 110-foot bond length. There's a correction of the width of the door was 40 or 42 feet. We did get a tax map, but there's the wetland setback information, measurements to all the setbacks. We got the right-of-way deed, and it was staked. So I'd say basically you have it. How does the board feel about it, that tax map? It's just something that they can print off the computer. So,
All right, I made a motion to continue to December 2nd, and that would be, although we've got a full agenda, that would be the, I'll have Terry make it up, that will be the first item on the agenda at 6 o'clock. Do I have a second?
I seconded the motion you had before.
Oh, I didn't hear you.
That's okay. I'm happy to let you add that it would be the first item on the agenda. I will second that amendment.
Okay.
So just to clarify, we have been provided with all of the information that we asked for, the 8 items that we listed. We have all of them except for a tax map, which we agree is not really
But
important.
we all haven't had,
We haven't had time to study it.
we haven't had the ability to at least look at it 24 hours before the meeting.
Right. So there's nothing else for them to do.
I hope not.
Well, I
It
mean,
it doesn't, a continuation doesn't preclude
Okay.
us asking another question.
Okay. But in the meantime, we have all copies, we can make copies from here. They don't need to give us anything else.
No, they don't need to give us anything more. We'll get that tax map.
I do have another question.
Go ahead.
When I was reading back, it said measurements 110-foot bond length. And I'm looking at this and it says it's 52.3 plus 14 plus another 52.3.
That's why we had the engineer, I contacted him to do the actual dimensions. So those are the dimensions on the plan that you have.
That's 118.6 feet. Uh, 52.3, and 52.3 is 104.6, and then 14. So you have 104.6 plus 14 is 118.6, not 110.
Right. I told you when they did the original plan, the as-built, it didn't have the roof overhangs on there. This was only a foundation. So he went back, did the actual dimension, and this is the engineered plan. So that dimension is what,
Okay, so the 110-foot difference between the 118.6 is 8.6 feet, which is the cumulative overhang of both buildings. Thank you.
Jody, is it relevant to the motion to continue? Or do you have a question that needs to be answered for the,
yeah, I just wanted to clarify that I just wanted to summarize this real quick. Is that the whole right-of-way thing, that's got nothing to do with his property, right? I mean, I just want to make sure that we're all set. The right-of-way's got nothing to do with,
I hope so, I think so.
well, I mean,
It
yeah,
sounds like the way.
we're just dealing with his property. I just want to make sure that we
Yeah,
stay
it sounds like
with
since
his
it's all
property.
on his property,
So
that we're
I just
good.
want to, are we, you know,
Are we good? Board
I mean, I
members, are
just
we
wanted to
good?
bring that up.
One more question.
The
Yes.
right-of-way?
Yes.
Are we good with the right-of-way?
Oh, yes, with the
Kate?
right-of-way, but I have one more question.
Yes.
That's got nothing to do with,
Kate?
Yes.
I just
All
want
right.
to,
Okay.
I don't want to come back
Okay,
next
I
time
hear ya.
and bring it up again. I want to put that to
Yeah,
rest.
yeah.
And then, I think, the wetlands, we got a letter, but I can't see it on the
I don't
map.
know. Yeah,
We're going to leave that alone?
no,
We'll leave it alone and let's stay with the letter? The letter's sufficient? I mean,
we'll talk
okay.
about it at the continuation,
well,
wetland. I haven't read the letter.
yeah, okay.
What I just said to Chuck, this list doesn't preclude, when we take this material, and Terry copies it up and gives it to us
Yeah.
as a packet. We take
Okay.
it home and we study it. It doesn't preclude us from asking questions about what we've just talked about.
Yeah,
again tonight.
exactly, but I'm saying, instead of having just the footage on a letter, would it be better for us to see it on this in 2 weeks, so we could actually look at this?
Okay.
And everybody looks at it, and we can say, there's no big
That's a good point.
No
Can
big
you
discussion
make that
about the
happen?
wetlands, that's all I'm trying to get at. Does that seem like that makes sense, that there wouldn't be, if it's
All right.
on this, then we
Okay.
don't,
Go ahead, what is it?
Yeah.
What-
I'm not trying to make things
All
more
right.
difficult, I'm just,
I hear you.
Okay.
Can you make that happen?
I can. I don't know how relevant, I mean, I can do anything you want. I'm at your mercy. But you have the original plot plan with the original foundation, with a letter there's another letter in there from Peter Cooperdock that said that the original building was outside of the wetland. And originally, there was a house planned up there with a barn, and they abandoned the septic system, the house, and they just went with that barn. Now I have an engineer that came out, did all the dimensioning that you asked for. I had Peter Cooperdock come back out, which I know you all know him, and he wrote the letter, and it cost me $1,500. Not that money is an issue, but I've already paid $1,500 to have this done. The wetland was not an issue before, but I've got a letter from the wetland scientist that actually did the work that has a letter there, and he's got down there, if you have any questions, you can notify me or ask me, reach out. So if it means putting a number on the plan,
That's what he's asking for.
yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to,
No, but that's
I
fine,
just,
Jody.
I just figured I didn't want that to be,
It
know,
should be
come-
part of
yeah.
the final file for the approval.
yeah, I just,
just a point of reference, on the original one, there was no measurement for the wetlands. It was just showing the wetlands, and the letter said it was outside of it. So it got approved before with not one dimension on it other than a 2-foot.
But the regulations may have been different back in the 70s,
Okay.
you know?
Well, that plan was actually done in 2014, I believe, or
Oh,
2009.
okay. Well, it's been changes since then, too.
Well-
I just had one other question to make sure that we're clarified for everything that he needs to address. This question about bond versus hangar in a letter, are we concerned about that?
I'd like that clarified before we make the final approval to see if it's pertinent or not.
Okay. So is that something that might be in the town files? Terry
It
and I
comes to
signed,
kind of
or-
a dead end in the town file.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that Mr. Fawcett might have a copy of that letter?
We're going for a barn addition to a barn. That's all we're doing.
Yeah.
We're not going for a hangar.
Well, the subject came up about,
It did, but it's not relevant to what we're going for. There's a barn there, and we're attaching to the barn.
we will try to get a resolve to that issue either from the old file or from our attorney.
But every structure that's on the runway are called barns. So all 4,000 feet, everything is called a barn.
Well, good.
That's why we
Okay.
called it a barn, and we were told to call it a barn.
Okay,
I have no problem with that.
Okay.
I mean,
bond for storage.
yeah, I mean, it's stored, they're storing a barn is for storing
Well, you know, this.
agriculture and food or anything,
It
but,
keeps coming
I
up.
know.
And so wouldn't it be nice to resolve it once and for all? And I would say, if we approve this, the condition will be, I got to think about it, and we need to think about it, but it would be that, that we have to address in the condition, well, I'll save that. I want to think more about it. It needs to be resolved. I think it needs to be resolved once and for all, because there's other people that are gonna wanna expand their barn, or maybe he's got enough land to put another one. So I think we need to resolve it. So anyway, the motion was, I'd like to call the motion to continue to December 2nd, first on the agenda. Sarah seconded it. Roll call vote, Chuck?
No, I think we have enough information. I'm comfortable making a decision tonight, so my vote is no.
Okay. Ryan, yes.
Sarah, yes.
Kate?
Do we need to hear from anybody in the,
I already did that.
No, we're
Kate?
done.
I don't know.
You can abstain if you like.
No, you're not,
Well, if she can't make up her mind.
I'm gonna vote no.
I'm gonna go no.
Don't look at her.
I'm gonna go no.
Okay. So, are you ready to make a motion? Are we gonna go through these 5 criteria tonight? You think you got enough information to go through the 5 criteria? Jody? And Kate?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yeah, Jody, you wanted additional stuff on the drawing to file. How are we going to get that if we don't continue it?
I don't know. I was sort of on the fence on this. I was just trying to,
What's the question? What was the question?
about the
The
tax
question
map.
is, those that voted no, do you think you have enough information to go into deliberations and address the variance 5 criteria? If you don't feel comfortable doing that, you may want to reconsider your vote.
I'm comfortable with what I said. Yeah, no.
Would you like to reconsider your vote?
No.
Well, I'll close the public hearing. You may sit down. What do I want? Oh, I know what I want.
Look at this, right?
I got that. I want this. And I want. Okay, Jody and Kate and Chuck. Number 1.
I look onto yours, I don't have my packet.
Go ahead.
Number one, this variance is not contrary to public interest. It doesn't conflict with public interest in any way that I can see. It serves the public in that it is allowing additional storage next to a runway that's been in operation since the 70s.
Well, we do 1 and 2 together, so
Okay.
Kate, number 2.
The spirit of the ordinance is observed. Yeah, it doesn't seem very different from the existing community. It seems it doesn't really change a whole lot of things. It's a remote location. I'm inclined to support it for that reason.
Number 3.
No, wait, Jody, number 1 and 2.
Oh, 1 and 2. One, the variance will not be contrary to the public's interest because, just like it says here, remote location, it's being attached to the other barn. It's just, it's not in the view of any neighbors, you know, it's really isolated in there.
I would add that the setback is setback from a property line. Beyond that property line is just a right-of-way and then an airstrip. So there isn't anything that they're really imposing on by putting the building there.
Number 3?
Number 3, there's no actual gain to the general public by refusing this request for a variance. And so I think that, that's a good reason to affirm it.
Jody?
Just because.
Number 3?
Basically what Kate just said. I mean,
Chuck? Number 3?
I agree.
Number 4? Kate?
The values of surrounding properties are not diminished. It doesn't seem as if they will be. This is a community that's existed for quite a while, since the faucets got up there. Before that, actually. So we didn't hear from any of the abutters, and they were noticed on this, according to the application. So,
Sarah?
Yeah, we have no idea whether the values are changed or not because we have no opinion from anyone that has, no realtors or anything like that. So we just have no information on that one item.
Jody? Number 4?
number 4. Yeah, again, it's not encroaching on any properties, I mean, around that area. Visually, I mean, not even visually, so I don't see where any properties would be diminished around the area.
Chuck?
It's true that we don't have any appraisals that tell us that this is going to increase or decrease property values, but it will be a new structure, and no offense, but the shed is not too pretty. And I think it would improve the aesthetics with the building as proposed.
Sarah?
Yeah, I just have a quick question. The house that we saw that's next to the barn is owned by the same person, I thought. The building right next to the existing barn, I don't believe is owned by Mr. O'Shaughnessy. So I don't think it's necessarily accurate to say that nobody can see it.
Well,
The property line goes between those two buildings. When we were on the site viewing, I asked where the property line was.
no, it's between the back of that barn and the next house.
Bingo! When they say that no one else can see it, the house is about 12 feet away.
Oh,
And it's a different owner.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't understand what
Yeah,
you're saying.
yeah.
So you don't think that applies?
Right, I don't think it necessarily,
Oh, you're talking about the house, the guy lives right there?
yeah.
He has airplanes too, and he flies, so I thought it was a good fit, but,
Yeah. Well, we can't say because nobody testified.
well, I talked to him out at the property on the first walk. He had no
Yeah.
ill qualms about it, but,
I believe he was at the last meeting.
yeah, I mean, if he
In
was
favor.
here tonight saying something, then it would be a different story. That's what I think, but I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
did that person get the notice? Was that in a butter? Was that,
Of course he's in a butter.
oh, Well, if we didn't hear from him,
Number 5, now this one takes some thought. This is the hardest one to satisfy. And let me just give you some insight to what number 5 requires. Okay, so I'll read from here. Literal enforcement of the provision of the ordinance would result in an unnecessary hardship because of special conditions. And no fair and substantial relationship exists between the purposes of the ordinance applicable to the application and the specific application of the provisions of the property because, or if they can't meet that, owing to special conditions set forth above, the property cannot be reasonably used in strict conformance with the ordinance, and a variance is therefore necessary to enable a reasonable use of the property because. So they've written down all their reasons why because. There must be a special condition related to the property that is the subject of the variance application. The requirements regarding a special condition have not changed and they still apply. There was a case law that came about that changed what was special condition. Unless there are special conditions regarding a particular piece of property, the cause of the ordinance to result in unnecessary hardship and variance cannot be granted. Examples of a special condition might be where unusual shape of a lot caused the setback requirement to eliminate any reasonable building. A banana-shaped building envelope unable without relief, or where all other lots enjoy the benefit sought by the applicant, must have had a continued use. If all other lots in a zoning district are similarly affected by a zoning ordinance so that there are no special conditions affecting the lot of the applicant is not entitled to a variance relief. A special condition which distinguishes the property from other properties in the area, no variance can be granted even though there is a hardship. So what this is saying is, what is the special condition of this property that causes the hardship? What makes it different from? Not what makes it special, but what makes it different from the other properties in that area.
I would go with what you read about the shape of the property. The property is fairly narrow, and it's not reasonable for him to build a reasonable sized barn on that property and still maintain the 25-foot setbacks front and rear. If you look at his proposed building here, he's shown you there's an orange line that shows you what the shape of the building would have to be in order to conform. And instead of a 44-foot barn, it would be about a 15-foot barn. And that's just not adequate for what he wants to store in the barn. So I think that's the hardship.
But you're leaving out part of it. Is there any other reasonable use? Everybody in that subdivision has the same situation, so it's not unique.
Well,
Everybody in that subdivision.
we don't know what their plots look like.
Well, we know that they all went through this thing through the planning process. They all have the same, there's nothing unique about this lot, that shape or that shape of that lot compared to any other lot in that subdivision. They're all chopped up like that.
We haven't seen
But
those.
the important part of this is there any other reasonable use for that lot? Can he put a barn there?
He can't fit a barn and conform to the setbacks.
Without a variance,
Correct.
so he doesn't have a hardship. Oh,
would
I don't
think he has a
understand.
hardship.
I explained it the best I could. Sarah?
Yeah, they can build another barn on it, but not at that size without the variance.
Right,
So
and
then the question becomes, what's reasonable use and what isn't?
he wants to put an airplane in there. An airplane won't fit in a
I know
15-foot
that.
deep barn.
Right. And I guess relative to your question about the lots and what they look like, if we had that tax map, we'd know what the other lots look like. We'd know if his was skinnier than all the rest, and we don't have that. So
Well,
that was the only thing that we asked for that we didn't get.
I just go with what's on our form here. Owing to special conditions set forth above, the property cannot be reasonably used in strict conformance with the ordinance.
And why?
He can't build a barn big enough to house an airplane and be within conformance on his piece of property.
But we've verified that he could build a barn. And that's still a reasonable use of that property.
Well,
Kate?
I don't agree.
Well, I'm going with the proposed use as a reasonable one, and I listened to what Chuck just said. It's special, it's got a little runway going right by the barn door.
It does all the properties.
Right. So, what are you going to do, grow goats there or what? We're going to raise goats?
Jody?
I'm getting a headache. Yeah, I mean, I just think it's gonna be a hardship if they can't put an addition on an existing building. If the existing building wasn't there, it wouldn't be a reasonable use, a reasonable thing to go and put a barn that size. And I think, that having the existing building is what, really does make it unique to, put that addition right there, so.
How does the public gain by denying this? What's the public gain by refusing to approve the proposed use?
Who are you asking that of?
For anybody?
No, well, I think the public, when they put out zoning articles and people decide that in this instance, it's not too close to the wetland, but let's use that as an example. If the town and the townspeople have voted that say that they want things 25 feet back from a wetlands, and this was, say, 3 feet back, then all those people that voted for that setback, how are you going to explain to them how you just changed your mind and said it didn't matter, that all those people voted for it, and you're overriding all those votes?
Is that the
That's just a
case that it's
simple-
3 feet from the wetlands?
What's that?
Is it the case that it's 3 feet from the wetlands?
No, it was just an example.
Yeah,
You said, how does the public not get a benefit, or do they get a benefit? If all the people that voted for the warrant article and believed in a setback of a certain, now, this is just an example. If they all believed in a setback of so much, and then the setback is less than that which they desire for their community, then they do not get the benefit of what they voted for, Kate. You can't just wipe out all those voters' intentions.
Well, that's the purpose of our board, is to look at that, and if it's reasonable to grant an exception in this particular case, then that's what we're responsible for. That's what we're supposed to do, is here for these special cases.
Right.
Well, it's not different from all the other lots. I mean,
Right.
there are some ways you can look at it. It's, the
Right.
setbacks you refer to from the right-of-way is not different probably from anybody else, but we don't know that for sure because we didn't get the tax map that we asked for. And all we were asking for is to get the rest of the 8. We got 7 out of 8. And the reason to ask for a continuation was to get that 8th bit of information that we asked for prior.
And that's going to tell us what?
You people that keep saying that it's different from the other lots, how do you know that if you don't have the tax map?
I didn't say it was different from the other
Oh, well,
map.
maybe it was Kate.
Suzanne found part of the ordinance that referenced if it's, I believe what she said was that if other neighbors have a similar restriction, then that doesn't make this lot special, so it would be
Correct.
grounds to deny the variance, I think is what you said.
It's not unique.
So
How can you
Is it-
decide if you don't have the information to show you, Chuck?
is it unique? That's not, that's new information.
That's part of the hardship criteria.
Well, it's not on our form. I'm going by what our forms say. That's what the basis of why I said I've had enough information to decide tonight, and that's why I said what I said, that it is, I believe
Well,
there is a hardship, and
there's case law
I'm-
that needs to be read by this board that talks about hardship. And it's my feeling that it doesn't meet the criteria. I've said my piece, and I'm going to vote my vote. I'm looking for some paperwork that I'm going to need, because I'm going to call for the vote pretty soon, and there will be conditions on that vote, and I can't find it. All right, it's up to you three. You know
it's
where
up to 5 of us, not 3 of us.
No, wait a minute. I haven't finished the sentence. It's up to you three to figure out what your motion will be, because you've heard 2 of us say we didn't want to continue. We voted not to continue because we didn't feel we had time to go through the information that we got, and in fact, was the information complete enough for us to feel comfortable to make a decision. So,
Excuse me, I think you just misstated that. There were 2 of us that did vote to continue.
oh, I'm sorry, yeah, they did vote, I'm sorry, I said the wrong term. And so therefore, you can surmise from that, at least speaking for myself, the other 3 that wanted to have this hearing will make a motion to approve, and you can surmise that given none of you have changed my opinion, that the hardship has not been met, that I will vote no. So I'm leaving it up to you 3 to formulate a motion for which I'm going to make conditions to it, if I can find my paperwork. And it's attached to, I didn't expect we would get this far tonight. I can put this aside. I didn't expect we'd get this far. So, that. You can be thinking about what your motion's going to be, Kate,
Yep.
Chuck, and Jody.
We're thinking.
I move to approve. Now, I don't know what conditions you want to put on that, but my motion is to approve the variance.
Well, you need to be a little more thorough than that.
Well, help me out here.
You need to approve specifically what?
I think what you need to start with is like your tax map information and all that, Chuck.
Let them do their
I know, I'm just trying to help him out because he seems
They
lost.
they jumped into it, they gotta figure
Well,
it out.
the more I think about it, the more I want to approve it. Just because I'm looking at this stuff in front of me over and over, and I'm actually feeling a lot more comfortable than I was earlier.
Well, I'll go back to what I said. We have 90 days to approve or disapprove.
So I've made a motion, nobody seconded it. I made a motion, and I don't know what else to add to that motion to make it a proper motion. So if somebody could help me with that, I would appreciate it.
You what?
I would appreciate it if you want more than just a motion to approve. What other information do you need?
Well, you didn't get a
moved.
second.
Well, I think,
No.
what do we vote? We vote on it, and then whatever the outcome, she wants to
No, that-
put stipulations on it, right, or whatever.
I'm asking for help
have
for
to
the
go through
motion.
the
The motion is
criteria.
to approve the variance on tax map number 45, lot 7. Approval of a variance to build a structure,
what size structure?
44 by 55-foot barn. With a setback of 12 feet instead of the required 25 feet.
What will the setback to the buffer be?
Setback to the buffer, you mean at the
The
wetlands?
side land, the side lot, isn't the, I don't have it in front of me now. The side lot,
The side lot,
25, was it the 25-foot setback?
yes, I said to approve it with a 12-foot setback instead of the required 25 feet.
Okay.
Excuse me, Chuck. If you look at the drawing, it says without the overhang, it says 44.2 by 50.3.
Okay,
And if you put it in your motion at a different one, that's what they'll have to
all
build
right,
it as.
thank you.
As long as you clarify it's without overhang.
I believe that's with overhangs.
50.3, 52.3 with overhang,
52.3 with overhangs, yes.
right. And the 44.2 is the footprint.
So the total dimensions of the building with overhang is 44.4 feet by 52.3 feet.
Except at the other end, it says 44.4, so now I'm not sure.
Okay, Chuck, would you want to repeat that so that our new recording secretary gets it?
I will try. I move to approve the application for variance to build a barn on tax map number 45, lot 7. The proposed barn measuring 52.3 feet by 44.4 feet. The approval is to build the barn with a setback of 12.2 feet on one side and 13.4 feet on the other side instead of the required 25 feet.
Now, is there a second to Chuck's motion?
Yes, I second it.
Further discussion? Jody?
I have nothing to add at this time.
Can't find what I need.
What were you looking for?
For the conditions.
Oh.
Well, okay. I amend the motion to add conditions. And these are from memory, so. Oh, I know where it is. Hold on. Where did I see it? I didn't expect we were going to have this hearing tonight, so I don't have what I need, but where did I write it down? I wrote it on something. I'd like to have the statute number.
The statute for the variance?
For conditions to this
Oh.
variance. Well, here's part of it. All right. One of the conditions that's important that, according to 674-33, Roman 1A, parentheses A. All right, I hope I got the right one. The variance authorized under this paragraph shall be valid if exercised within 2 years from the date of final approval, or as further extended by the local ordinance or by the zoning board of adjustments for good cause. That's one.
Madam Chair, shouldn't we have the boilerplate condition about it being filed at the deed office?
I'm trying to remember what the standard conditions are.
When we have a planner, they're listed for us, but
I'm gonna pull out another plan that already has been approved.
Somebody.
Hopefully, this will give me some guidance. I usually have them written down. So let's see if I can find some guidance from this. Because it just can't go without some conditions on it. Yeah, that's not it.
Did Rob or Matt have a plan of review in the last?
That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Okay, jackpot. Okay, so the second condition, all federal, state, and local permits to be received, including but not limited to Town of Wolfeboro building permit approval. That's 2. 3, all the documentation submitted in this application of October, 23?
Yep.
2024 package by the applicant, and any requirements imposed by other agencies are part of this approval unless otherwise updated, revised, clarified in some manner, or superseded in full or in part. In the case of conflicting information between documents, the most recent document and this notice herein shall generally be determining. 4, I'm on 4, I guess. The application as submitted to the ZBA does not satisfy the submittal requirements for a building permit. 5, the notice of decision shall be recorded at the Carroll County Registry of Deeds, and the applicant shall be responsible for the payment and all recording fees. And I've read the 2-year limit, and then, what number am I on now, 6?
Yes.
All right, and 6. And I was supposed to have gotten an email from the interim planner that advises we add this condition per the fire chief that there will be no bulk storage of fuel other than what is customarily normal for a residence.
Where's that coming from?
Fire
I can't
chief.
hear you.
Fire chief.
Fire chief.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, any further discussion on the motion as amended?
Nope.
We're getting ready to make a vote to approve or not approve.
Do you need a second for the amendment? The conditions?
Wouldn't hurt.
I'll second the conditions.
All those in favor of the motion as amended, which would be to approve this application as presented. Roll call. Chuck?
Yes.
Suzanne, no.
I find that I can't, only based on the fact that we asked for 8 specific things and we did not get all of them. And a lot of the points that Chuck brought up about the lot and how is it different or not different from any other up there can't be answered. We have nothing on number 4 for values, no appraisals, no realty information. So I feel I don't have enough information to make a yes decision. I think we should have just continued it, got the information we originally asked for, and agreed at our last meeting that we would ask for and receive before we made a decision. So because we didn't, I feel like I have to vote no. We had all the information, might be a different story, but we don't.
I vote yes. Yes.
Yes.
Motion passes. Got your permission to go for a building permit. Now, don't get ready to go home, folks. This doesn't apply to you. We still have work to do on this. Now, for those that voted yes, I'm going to lean on you people
Yep.
to come up with findings of fact.
Yep.
You want to do that right now?
Yes.
Yep. It has to go with a notice of decision
Which has to be out in 5 days.
in 5 business days.
Okay, so the first criterion, it's not contrary to the public interest. It's an existing flying community, and he wants to enlarge a barn to accommodate a plane in the flying community. I don't think it's contrary to the public interest for that reason.
Wait, Sarah's taking these down for me.
Okay.
Because I can't quite hear everything you're saying.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I've forgotten your name.
Bridget.
Bridget, you're taking notes on this too, right? Okay.
Jody?
Number 1.
No. Why did you feel that they were to receive a yes vote for a variance? What fact did you find, not reading from what they wrote?
Yeah.
Because you don't repeat that. You have to substantiate why you felt that they qualified for variance.
Because that community they have with the airport and everything right there is just, it's very unique. That's why I just,
Chuck?
No. I agree with what's already been said. It's an airport community, and so approving an additional barn is not contrary to public interest.
The second criterion on the spirit of the ordinance, it's the variance would not alter the essential character of the neighborhood.
Yeah, but we've already used those 5 criteria. The finding of fact is more like something you discovered along the conversation of why they should get approved. What did you discover that is a fact that says they should get a variance?
For one, they don't meet the 25-foot setback, but the original setback was 10 feet, which grandfathered the original structure. And beyond that property line, which defines a 25-foot setback, is just a right-of-way, and beyond that is the airstrip. So there's plenty of space there to put in the barn, even though the setback from the actual property boundary line is not met.
Okay, anything else?
Another finding of fact is the letter we have, which is another reason I'm comfortable with doing this. The last sentence is pretty clear. It says, "The proposed building, as staked out during the site visit of November 14th, does not encroach into or near the limits of the buffer zone requirements of a 30-foot setback from poorly drained wetlands and a 75-foot setback from very poorly drained soil and perennial streams. The proposed building will be well outside of those limits."
That's a good finding. Anybody else want to add anything? Okay, and I guess that does it.
Do you want to add that the shape of the building that could be built within the setback is not sufficiently large for the purposes intended?
If you'd like to.
Yes, I'd like to. So there's my 3 findings of fact.
I think you saved the day.
Okay?
Okay, I think we've wrapped up that application. Did you have, are you here for an application or,
Extension.
huh?
The
He's here for
extension.
the other item on the agenda, the extension.
The solar field.
Extension of the,
Laurel Farms.
They told me that that was being withdrawn for this evening, and an email was sent saying that you'd be first on the agenda for December 2nd.
except now he's going to have to be second.
December 2nd.
No, he'll have to be second on the agenda
No,
because,
that's all taken care of now. It's done. We just did them. We didn't extend it.
oh, okay. But he got his decision, so, right, got it, sorry.
I got a call from the administrative secretary saying that whoever the representative is couldn't be here and that they were asking to be put on the next agenda. Well, we're not ready for you, given that information.
Was it a,
It's on the agenda, though.
He's on the agenda.
And who, could you come up to the microphone?
I'm Justin Kusinek. I'm a senior project manager with Standard Solar.
I'm sorry, I
I
couldn't hear your
You
name.
gotta speak.
I'm
pull
Justin
that microphone
Kusinek.
up
I'm
into
a
your
senior
mouth.
project manager with Standard Solar.
Okay, you were talking and she was talking, I still don't know your name, I'm sorry, dear.
Justin
Got it.
Kusinek with Standard Solar. I'm a senior project manager. Joshua Craybill from pre-construction spoke with Terry on Friday morning. We acquired this, well, we assumed responsibility from our previous development partner, Luminia, so we took full ownership of this project on Thursday. And I was told to come out here to speak.
I don't know, a letter went out from our office that said, okay, we'll get you in tonight. This is a special meeting night. And that you would need to have, this was addressed to, let's see, it was addressed to Andrew
Andrew
Keller.
Lane?
Keller. And that would have to send a representative. And they responded back saying they didn't know if they could get one here in time. And so then just today at 4 o'clock, just minutes before 4 o'clock, because they close, I got the phone call from Terry Travaris that said they got a call, she got a call saying that they would like to extend the meeting until our next meeting. And I said, that's fine. Email them back and say, we'd be glad to extend them to December 2nd for their meeting, and if they can't get their act together and their people together to do whatever it is that they want to say, that they're welcome to come in January.
There seems to be a disconnect because I have the email from Joshua Crable from our pre-con to Terry, reiterating that on Friday at 7:34 in the morning that I would be here. I could share it with you if you want.
Well, we're not prepared to go forward with this tonight, so
Okay.
I'm sorry that the communications are bad, but
And Amber, my transaction manager, who's in business development, is watching, and she just messaged me saying that Terry said that it would be fine. Andrew Keller is no longer on the project.
we don't,
I'm not being confrontational. I'm just trying to understand the disconnect in communication because I was prepped to come out here and
we just, we're in a tough spot too. We don't have a full-time planner. We've got a woman that comes in twice a week, 4 hours a day.
No, I heard Sarah.
And
say
then
that.
Terry has to fill in.
Oh.
And she's been out on sick leave.
And she's, for the last month, been out on a leave, and so,
Well, no, I appreciate it. Life happens, and I hope that
sorry.
Terry gets well. But there seems to be a disconnect
but we
somewhere.
just moved you up to the 1st of December.
Well, that's exciting. I'll see you.
And you might want to check to make sure.
I'll be here on the 1st.
Okay, sorry to have you wait this long.
It's okay.
I had realized. Well, hope you got an education.
You are thorough, and I appreciate that. So,
Okay, thank you. Board members, one other thing, the minutes, I skipped over on the agenda, the minutes.
You didn't skip anything, it's next.
Well, they used to go up here, because that's, so we don't forget them. Can I see your agenda, what day was it?
November 6th.
The minutes for November 6th, that was a work meeting. Does anybody see any difficulties with them? If not, it's,
December 6th, you said?
November 6th.
December 6th hasn't come yet, Jody.
it looks like this, it was in your packet,
Oh, yeah, I got that, yeah, I'm
and
sorry.
it's just bullet, 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 what we did at the work meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't read it.
And I typed it up and sent it to Terry, and Terry did me the honors of making it look formal and official. So if there's no problem with the minutes, do I have a motion to accept the minutes as of November 6th work meeting as printed?
I'll second that, yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I have to abstain because I wasn't there. I was excused from that meeting.
Okay.
Can I ask Bridget a question?
Aye. Are we getting unanimous?
I wasn't there.
Okay, so 2 abstentions, 3
Yes.
said yes, that's enough to pass it.
Yeah.
Minutes accepted. Sarah?
I have a question for Bridget. If you will be doing this from recorder, or you will be doing this from the TV thing? When you're doing your minutes when you're remote?
The TV, like the YouTube. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so I just have a process question for Bridget. So should we assume that perhaps you can't see it and make certain that we identify ourselves when we speak and all so that,
Yeah, that would be helpful.
okay.
Yeah.
Like she can do a roll call vote, Chuck, Suzanne, Sarah, blah, blah, blah. And then maybe Suzanne, you can say, you're pretty good about identifying who can speak.
Right.
So we can try to do that to help you.
Yep. Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Is there anything else on the agenda? I don't have it in front of me. Any other business?
Other business.
Thank you. Just so you know, Bridget has been authorized to do the outstanding minutes of October, what was it, 26th. She's gonna do those up, because they were never done. And other than that, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. This is Sarah.
Second,
Chuck,
Chuck seconds.
Third, fourth.
unanimous? Okay,
Aye.
thank you.
thank you, too.
Bridget?
Wait until this.